Good morning. Oh gosh, intentional creation in action. That's what I'm going to talk about today. And I feel just totally relaxed and focused now. This is awesome. Because today we're going to bring our theme of intentional creation to a close. Not that we're going to stop, we're just going to stop talking about it right now. We'll move on to something next month that's even bigger and better. But we've spent the last 4 weeks paying attention to what radio station that we are tuned into. And actually now we're tuned into a really high frequency, but we talked about Gloomy FM, Reality FM, and Potential FM. And we have deeply explored and begun to understand and release the barriers and blocks to our intentional creative expression. And we've stood at the green growing edge of our becoming. Today we're going to look at a 3-prong approach to kicking our creative juices into gear. And we celebrate ourselves as creative beings. Because we really are, truly, all of us, creative beings. And I've been saying this all month, but I want to bring that idea home one more time this morning. Each and every one of us is a creative being. Some of us direct this divine attribute into poems or songs, crystal bowls, meditations, electronic processes, while others direct it into day-to-day pursuits. And some of us completely frustrate our creativity, thus creating frustrated lives, including poor cooks and poor poets. I love this somewhat in-your-face idea from Charles Fillmore in Talks on Truth. He says, "Man is the builder, and to him are given all the materials out of which to construct the temple in which he dwells. He builds in wisdom or in ignorance, according to his receptivity to the sphere of intelligence within him." And I would tweak it just a little bit to say, he builds in wisdom or in ignorance according to his receptivity to the sphere of creativity within him. And as I've said each week, we cannot not create. We are always creating. The question is, are we intentionally or unintentionally creating? Are we creating by design or are we creating by default? When we are intentionally creating, when we are creating by design, when we are being receptive to that sphere of creativity within us, we are the happiest because we are consciously aligned with the source of life. And the process of creation and the process in creation are what bring us the most joy. So, just for a little fun and to show us some crazy creativity, I want to share with you the winner of the Washington Post's annual invitational writing contest a few years back. Here were the simple instructions for the contest. Submit instructions for anything written in the style of a famous person. And here was the winning submission. It is entitled, "The Hokey Pokey" by William Shakespeare. And here it goes. "O proud left foot that ventures quick within, then soon upon a backward journey lith. Anon, once more the gesture then began, command sinistil pedestal to writh. Commence thou then the fervid hokey poke, a mad gyration hips in wanton swirl, a spin, a wild release from heaven's yoke. Blessed dervish, surely thy canst go, girl. The hoke, the poke, banish now thy doubt. Verily I say, 'tis what it's all about." Oh my gosh, now that's creativity. Holmes in Living the Science of Mind wrote, "Creation is the play of life upon itself, the action of a limitless imagination upon an infinite law." Isn't that poem a great example of the limitless imagination Ernest is speaking about in that quote? So as I said a moment ago, today we bring our time to a close by doing 2 things. First, we will look at a 3-prong approach to kicking our creative juices into gear. And second, we will celebrate ourselves as creative beings. So first, the 3-prong approach. We found that the recipe for successful creativity calls upon us to make intentional, conscious use of 3 ingredients. And those 3 are intent, feelings, and action. So I want to say that again. The recipe for successful creativity, meaning creating by design, not by default, is the intentional, conscious use of the 3 ingredients: intent, feelings, and action. Now, those probably aren't new to any of you, but I invite you to come with me with a beginner's mind to them this morning and to listen for what you haven't maybe yet embodied. So let's look at intent. The first ingredient is our intent. What is it we desire to create? I love the words of Holmes when he said that consciousness must be conscious of something. Consciousness must be conscious of something. So it's our job to be clear in our intention. And we know to do this, don't we? And yet, how often do we really sit down and get really clear about what it is we want to create? I mean, seriously, if you think about cooking, you don't just start throwing things into a pot and hope it comes out. You have a clear idea in mind what the finished product is going to look like before you even start. So intentional creation, creation by design and not by default, really does require setting an intention. So here's a very interesting factoid. In ancient Greece, in the early Olympics, the discus throwers were not only scored on how far that they threw the discus, but on how they intended to throw the discus. This is how the judging went. When the participant came forward, he would hold up his discus and offer it to the gods. Then he would offer an intent for that particular throw. His score was a combination of how far he threw the discus and what the judges thought of his intent. Interesting to think about that in the context of setting our intentions, isn't it? Imagine if we were scored on that when we went for our job evaluations. What was your intent? And then how well did you do? I think that would maybe give a whole different turn to it, you know? So we offer up our heart's desire to the universe, and while our intent is not judged, the power of it is directly related to our score, or in other words, our result, right? And then, just like the discus thrower, we must release the discus and have no control over how far it actually travels. We do our part, and then the rest is up to how far it goes. So we must release the intent and the outcome. We must release the outcome and leave the specifics undefined as to how or when our intentions come to us. By following this guideline and invoking the highest good, we allow the universe to utilize any one of an infinite variety of ways to bring our intention into manifestation. So I love this idea. You are the artist, your life is the canvas, intention is your paintbrush. Okay, so on to feelings. The second ingredient, feelings, comes into the picture in order to provide the energy needed to make our intention develop from a thought into a reality in the invisible that is poised and ready to blossom into the world around us. And this is where living in the potential FM comes into play. Because think about it. How do you feel when you are thinking about your intention from a place of gloomy FM, which is the Eeyore Woody Allen attitude? How do you feel? Remember our videos from the first part of the month? If you were here, you've got to see those. This is the attitude of it's hard. It's always going to be hard, and it's never going to work. So when you're coming from that place, how do you feel? Seriously, how do you feel when you're coming from that place? Not so good, right? Or even reality FM. How do you feel when you think about your intention to create something amazing, but look at where you are right now as your only reality? Well, here's my checkbook. It's obvious. This is my reality right now, right? It's not much better than gloomy FM, right? But when you are in potential FM, how do you feel? How do you feel when you're in potential FM? And I'm going to share just a little story. My daughter has a birthday coming up, and she's thinking that she would really, really, really love to have the new iPhone 10. But boy, it's expensive. And, you know, we've said we'll contribute so much towards that. And she's really kind of in reality FM right now. Well, do I really need this? Do I really need a new phone? Do I need all the bells and whistles? And I'm only going to get this chunk. Where's the other money going to come from? Well, if you stay in reality FM, you're not going to get that phone. But if you open it up to potential FM, and it's like, you know what, Spirit, if this is where, you know, this is my intent, this is what I'd like, how is it going to happen? And you're open to other ways and possibilities. It's amazing. Ideas start coming and potentials start coming, maybe overtime or ways to earn extra money or a special gift or something. Something appears. Something always happens when you're clear and you know it's what you truly, truly want. But those questions are good to ask because sometimes you do, you think, oh, you know what, you're right, I don't really need that. And then you're free to move on to something else that may be something that is where you want to go. So this was a really good example of working with this week with her. Because when you are in Potential FM, how do you feel? How excited do you get, about what might happen? You're excited, you're energized, you're animated, you're passionate for the possibilities. Just like this guy with the shower mobile. Oh my gosh, look at the possibilities. There's all these problems for getting everything, all the supplies and things that could be problems, but no, he's excited for the possibilities. So how do you move from gloomy or reality FM to Potential FM? Well, it may be difficult to zip directly from your thinking, my intention is never going to come to fruition, to feeling that it is already done. But there's a process we can engage in to shift the energy which shifts the feelings. And that reality, that is really not a very difficult thing to do. So what I want to do is I want to take a moment to do that right now. So if you want to, please join me. And close your eyes, please. And bring to mind someone that you love. You just love being around them, and you feel great appreciation for them. It could be a two-legged person, a four-legged animal, a feathered or scaled friend. It doesn't matter. Just bring that person to mind. Allow the corners of your mouth to curl up a bit as you bring that being into your heart. And just breathe in that feeling for a few moments. Then think about something you deeply appreciate that has happened in your life in the past few days. Bring that into your heart. Breathe it in. Breathe in that appreciation. Feel inside your body and find that place where that feeling lives. Locate it. And once you locate it, breathe in appreciation to that spot in your body even more. Now bring your intention into your mind and see it already done. See what it is that you desire already done. Breathe in appreciation and gratitude for it being accomplished, manifested, successfully done. Bring that into your heart. Breathe it in. Breathe in appreciation. Feel inside your body and find that feeling, locate it. And once you locate it, breathe in appreciation even more. Now let go of the person, being, past event, and intention. And just breathe appreciation in and out. In and out. In and out. And when you are ready, stretch a bit, rotate your head, open your eyes, and come back to the room. You have just connected to the feeling of Potential FM. It feels pretty good, doesn't it? Almost like as good as the crystal bowls.
Really relaxing.
This then leads us to applying the third ingredient, which is action. And not just any action, but inspired action. I often speak about inspired action, so I'm not going to say too much about it today, but for two things. First, I love this quote from the book, The Obstacle is the Way. We have it in our library if you want to borrow it. It's by Ryan Holiday. He says, action is commonplace. Right action is not. As a discipline, it is not any kind of action that will do, but directed, inspired action. Everything must be done in service to the whole. We must be sure to act with deliberation, boldness, and persistence. Those are the attributes of right and effective action. Action is the solution and the cure to our predicament. And second, inspired action is always in Potential FM. Did you hear that? What did I just say?
Inspired action is always
In Potential FM. Yes, inspired action is always in Potential FM. So when we come from that place, it is always inspired divine right action. Remember that. And that brings us to celebrating ourselves as creative beings. I want us to spend the remainder of our time together this morning celebrating ourselves as creative beings. would anybody like to share how they have applied what we've discussed this month? What have you created by staying tuned into Potential FM?
I wrote another poem.
You wrote another poem. Ah,
And
awesome.
it's funny because I've created these little musical things, notes connected together that sound good. And this latest poem that I put together fits this one piece that I haven't used yet. So it was just like it was all there.
Just stay tuned in, and you created it. That's awesome.
I earlier in the year created a brand new car for me. I went out and I looked at cars and had certain
Criteria?
specific things
Yeah.
that I desired in a car, and I finally found the right car. It was amazing how quickly the money came to me
And it
to
was
be able to
make it happen.
make it happen.
Awesome. Is anyone in the process of creating something? Anybody in the process of creating anything? In the process of creation?
Publishing a book.
Publishing a book. Okay, that's awesome. And I know Jeff is continuing to create, and whatever it is, let's just take a moment for all of us here to see the easy, grace-filled and fun process of completion for all of us who are in the process of creating. So, gosh, we bring this month to a close, blessing the intentions, the positive feelings, and the inspired actions that bring about intentional creation, which cause us to be more than we are today, more of the divine expressing. And it's been a true blessing to be able to bring this all to you here this month. It's just been a wonderful journey, and we just give so much thanks to Jeff for starting us off today on our special Sunday. And so with that, we will close and say, and so it is.
So it is.